Hi, I'm Duane Sylvestre, and I understand you have a couple questions about how to set up your home bar for mixology, or as I like to say, drink bending. Well, not to worry, I got you. But let's get something straight. This is not how do I stock up for a party. This is not a list of Duane's favorites. Well, not a complete list anyway. This is how to set up your home bar the way I started my home bar. Soon, you can start drink bending too. So, I'm going to make some assumptions. First, that you're willing to use fresh ingredients. I also assume that you're able to prepare and willing to make some ingredients like syrups, shrubs, garnishes, etc. Last but not least, you have quality sodas, juices, beer, and wine available on hand. You're also going to need some tools. Most importantly, you're going to need a jigger, but you'll also need a mixing glass, shaker tin, knives, spoons, strainers. If all that sounds cool to you, then I'd say you're ready to get started. Step 1. First thing you're going to need is to get some booze, spirits. But let's set up some guidelines for when you're making your selections. Whether it's rum, gin, vodka, whiskey, bourbon, scotch, doesn't matter. It's up to you, but make sure that first you stick to quality brands you trust. Spirits should be worthy of your day-to-day enjoyment. Don't buy something with the thought, I'm going to mix this so it doesn't matter. Trust me, it does. If you buy poor-tasting, low-quality spirits, you spend your time trying to correct its flaws versus creating great drinks. Also, remember that many spirits are available in a range of sizes, so try some smaller sizes out, find what you like, and get what works for you. Next, affordability. That does not mean get the most for the least. Get something that fits your palate and your wallet. Most importantly, get something that you're willing to share, something you're proud to share with your guests and enjoy yourself. Keeping those criteria in mind, you're ready to select your first bottle. For my bar, the first spirit was rum. Considering the criteria, Appleton Estate 8-Year Reserve Rum is a brand that I find is affordable, I'm happy to enjoy on its own, mix, and share with my friends. Believe it or not, with just that bottle, you're well equipped to start building drinks. With just spirit, sugar, water, you can make a sling. Add citrus and a little shake, and you have a sour. Just the spirit and a bit of soda, you got a highball. Or perhaps you take the spirit, add some hot water and a sweetener if you like, and you have a toddy. As you can see, the list goes on, and the variation is only limited by the spirits that you have on hand. So just continue to add to your spirit collection as you see fit. Step 2. This all started with the question, how do you set up your home bar for mixology? Which again, I like to call drink bending. If you've gotten everything we covered in step 1, you're now all set up and ready to transition from drink building to drink bending. We have booze, ingredients, and tools. The next thing we're going to add is bitters. Think of bitters as the seasoning that ties everything together, much like salt and pepper if you were cooking. Your spirits would act as the main ingredient and the bitters would be the seasoning. And with this seasoning, your slings become cocktails like a Sazerac or an Old Fashioned. Sours become a Fitzgerald. Highballs, well, they become many different expressions depending on the spirit, mixer, and bitters that is added. Now, I know there are hundreds of bitters on the market. Alcoholic, non-alcoholic, citrus, floral, herbal, seasonal, even chocolate. But the first few I believe you should have are Angostura, aromatic, and orange bitters, and probably Peychaud. It's amazing how just a few dashes or drops are able to transform a drink. In the third step, we continue our drink bending with seasonings, but now we're going to use vermouth. Vermouth is great on its own, but can be used to round the edges of spirits. If we're still in the kitchen, vermouth trims the fat. Either sweet or dry vermouth can be added to your bar one at a time or together and will expand your drink bending repertoire all the way to Manhattan. Well, at least to a Manhattan and all of its variations, as well as the martini and all of its variations. As you can see, with the addition of bitters and vermouth, you have transitioned from building to crafting cocktails. Step 4. Now that we are crafting cocktails, we are ready to refine and expand. At this point, you should have a good drink recipe resource, a book, website, blog, podcast. I'm going to leave that up to you. Next on your list to add to your bar will be liqueurs. Liqueurs are lower in alcohol and sweetened and available in as many flavors as there are fruits, herbs, even vegetables in the world. With this wide of a selection, you might find it difficult to choose. And if you ask me, which you have, the first liqueur is going to be orange. Going back to our selection criteria of quality, affordability, and willingness to share, the top on my list is the cognac-based Grand Marnier. It would also be nice to add a premium neutral triple sec. Did you think there was going to be more? Go get it. Step 5, tequila. You think you're fancy now, don't you? Up to now, I've given you spirit suggestions based on your preference and that of your guests. But if you haven't gotten a tequila, now is the time. How else are you going to make the most popular cocktail in America, the classic margarita? When selecting your tequila, you want to make sure it is 100% pure agave and made in Mexico. It'll say hecho en Mexico right on the bottle. There are different styles of tequila that you should be aware of when you're making your consideration. First, there's blanco, which is unaged. It's going to be the purest expression of the agave. Next is reposado, which means rested for at least 2 months and up to, but not including, 1 year. The rest usually happens in ex-bourbon casks. It picks up some of that flavor. Anything rested for more than a year can be called añejo, and after 3 years, it's extra añejo. Basically, the more time in wood, the more woody it gets. But of course, our selection criteria must still be applied. So you still want to go back to quality, affordability, and a willingness to share when selecting your tequila. Step 6. Congratulations. You are now mixing drinks like a pro. But it's also time for you to grow up. Actually, you really can't call yourself a mixologist without being able to craft the Negroni. This Italian staple can't be made without Campari. It's actually 3 simple ingredients: Campari, sweet vermouth, and gin in equal parts, stirred together and served either on the rocks or strained into a chilled glass. But maybe I should back up. Campari. Let me tell you what it is. It's a bitter Italian liqueur, which is part of the Amaro family. Amaro is simply the Italian word for bitter, and the category ranges from mildly bitter to whoo, that's bitter. So I suggest you get adventurous and start tasting. I know we discussed the classic Negroni, but there are many variations on the Negroni you can make by just changing the base spirit from gin to bourbon or to rum, tequila, even mezcal. And like aromatic bitters, it can be added in small amounts to help bend your cocktails in new directions. So now's the time to go get adventurous. Cheers. Step 7. Before I go, I have to discuss how important beer, wine, and soda play in your bar. A lot of times the mixologist can get caught up in the mixology. Beer, wine, and sodas provide your guest options while you craft away. They buy you time and add to the overall experience. I got another drink bending tip for you. As a host, you probably want to offer a sparkling wine. I mean, who doesn't enjoy a bit of sparkling wine from time to time? You're going to want to have access to Aperol. It's another Italian bitter. Aperol allows you to bend your sparkling wine into the approachable, effervescent, drink it all day Aperol spritz. It's simply building Prosecco, Aperol, and soda with a slice of orange over ice. In that order, it's the perfect way to begin any meal, gathering, or engagement. It's important to note that there are many spirits and liqueurs that I haven't mentioned. Brandy, bourbon, rye, scotch, sherry, Madeira, chartreuse, mezcal, a whole host of others. Your cocktail recipe resource and ever-growing preferences will guide you to explore and increase your home mixology and bar crafting skills. I look forward to you making a drink for me someday. Cheers.